you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. My name is Toni.Bryanne, and in today's video we are going to be talking about Zeus Network and the exploitation of Black people on the network. This has been a video I've been wanting to do for a very long time. In the past, I didn't want to do it because I was no longer supporting the network after watching Joseline Cabaret. I watched the first and second season. They were both hard watches, but I knew after the second season for sure I was not going to support the third season. And with how Joseline's Cabaret went down and seeing Baddies, which is their new hit series, I did not want to support that. Then I also didn't want to burn any bridges because I was thinking about maybe future opportunities I could potentially be working with Zeus Network. But if we're being honest, you can critique anything or any company, any organization, any person without bashing them or discrediting the success that it's had. And that's the plan I have for this video. Not to bash, but to have an honest dialogue about how Black people are being represented in media. Today's quote of the day is, "I deserve to be in love with someone who prioritizes me and our relationship every single day." And today's verse of the day is Corinthians 1, chapter 16, verse 13, and it reads, "Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." And now here's a word from today's sponsor. You guys, I have to tell you about this amazing desk that I got from FlexiSpot. The highlight of this desk is the fact that it can go as tall as I want and as low as I want. Someone like me that works from home tends to be sitting down quite a bit. With the height adjustment aspect of the FlexiSpot desk, I'm able to stand up while I get my work done, so I'm as active as possible as much as I can be while working from home. And if I even just want to sit at the desk, I'm able to do that as well. I love being able to have two different options on how I want to do my work. The FlexiSpot Pro Standing Desk E5 has definitely changed my life and my experience with editing, and I'm so glad it is now a part of my daily usage. Even just from the finish of the desk, it's super sleek and modern and up to my standards and so many others. The desk comes in so many different colors and is definitely an affordable cost. If you're interested in checking out the amazing FlexiSpot Pro Standing Desk E5, please be sure to click the link in the description box for more details. Thank you so much, FlexiSpot, for sponsoring this segment of today's video, and without further ado, let's get straight into today's video.
Taking you in this moment.
Zeus Network is a Black-owned video streaming network. Social media personalities like D Storm Power, Amanda Cerny, and King Back are the founders of Zeus Network, with the executive producer Lemuel, who is now the president and CEO of the network. So Zeus was launched on July 13, 2018, and Lemuel Plummer, the CEO and president currently, he said that he funded the entire network all on his own in the very beginning. He described the launch to be very difficult, and honestly, it can be seen as admirable and commendable, especially coming from a Black man. So what could have easily been deemed and recognized as Black excellence quickly turned the complete opposite. And that's due to Lemuel deciding to launch shows on the network that vividly tore apart the Black community, all under the veil of entertainment. I wish I had time to speak about all of the shows on Zeus Network, but we're gonna hone in on a few that really tear down Black people as a whole. And we're gonna start right off with Baddies. The series Baddies aired on May 16, 2021 on Zeus Network. The show basically documents a group of women living together trying to get to the bag, should I say. They are going to be doing promotional events, going to club hostings, and through all of that, there are a bunch of physical and verbal altercations. That is the entertainment aspect of the show and why so many people watch it every week and every season. So far, they have filmed 3 seasons. They filmed Baddie ATL, Baddies South, Baddies West, and soon to be Baddies East, as they just finished auditions. In her thesis, The Angry Black Woman Trope, written by Michelle Weber, she wrote this: "The angry Black woman trope has been exploited in American cinema for over a century. Created from the white male gaze, the result of the stereotype was to dehumanize and devalue Black women as a result of slavery. The trope allowed Black women to continue to be objectified and be considered anything but a woman." The Baddies franchise on Zeus perfectly exemplifies the angry Black woman trope. The women on this show are being shown as angry, hostile, masculine, and are overall demeaned and embarrassed. Everyone on the show feels the need to prove that they are a baddie, so in turn, they overreact in a lot of situations and get into fights, which overall embarrasses themselves, even if they don't see it as such. So we all know the term baddie is used consistently in everyday conversation among women. Numerous female artists are constantly using the term baddie, and male artists referring to women as baddies, as the women that they want. And I even did a video on how to become a baddie, and it did pretty well. So being a a baddie is something that's seeked after and seek to be. So if we look on Lovely Urban Dictionary, because I feel like that is the only accurate source when it comes to the term baddie, they have quite a few definitions. So I'm going to go with the very first one, and then I'm going to read the second one to you guys because they're very similar and it kind of gives two different ideas. The first definition of baddie states, a baddie is a female who can hold her own and take care of herself. She is very pretty and independent. So the second definition I'm going to read to you guys, I believe more aligns to what the show Baddies represents. And that definition says, a baddie is a bad girl. She usually is thick and has quote unquote fleek makeup, posts booty pics, and can be defined as a freak. Girls who are bad are extremely attractive to guys. And quite frankly, I do believe that that definition of baddie really aligns with the concept of the series. And also I would reference that definition of baddie as more of the urban alignment of what a baddie is, because if you think of baddie, I personally think about a slim, thick black woman, maybe Hispanic, that all the men want, and she also is one that does not take any ish. Now I do believe whether you take the first or that second definition that I read on Urban Dictionary of the definition of baddie, it still can be perceived as something positive. Instead, they take the negative attributes of what a baddie is and they take it as someone that has to be tough, is constantly in fights, a mean girl, and basically any other negative attribute in the book. The show does not positively portray black women. And then you have a woman like Natalie Nunn, who did start off the show and she is one of the executive producers of the show. She definitely doesn't give off girl code vibes and doesn't seem to want to bring these women together. In my personal opinion, she's here for all of the drama that comes with the series because she knows it brings in the numbers. Her being almost 40, fighting everybody, getting involved in drama, does not help with changing the narrative of how black women are portrayed in media. Now let's get into the auditions for this show. The show just developed this concept last season that before the show airs, they decide to film the audition process for the next season. They air these auditions because they know it's going to be good television. They know there are a bunch of women that are going to come to these auditions that are desperate for their 5 minutes of fame and go on air and act a fool, get into fights, embarrass themselves, and try to show out in order to get a spot on the show or get some camera time overall. And the most tragic part about it is that the executive producers of Zeus, they know how these women are going to behave, and even when these women give them the good camera footage they need, they know they are not going to cast 98% of the women that go out there to audition for the series. All of this is just content to them. We know this is solely for content because Zeus Network knows for sure if these were genuine auditions, they would not turn into a whole episode of Baddies East. If you look at the past seasons, most of the women on the show have had a previous social media following. They're not looking for new personalities. They want someone that comes with something that'll benefit them, or at least they're not looking for the majority to be fresh faces like they did have on the show Bad Girls Club. One woman that was at the audition stated that most people that came to the audition did not even get to audition for the show.
Like, the more I stayed there and I realized like what was really going on, the more I realized they was never going to pick anybody in those auditions. They really didn't take them seriously. And it was all just a show for TV. It was all just for TV. It's all for ratings. It's all a game.
It just saddens me because, like I said, they're using these women that are very desperate for 5 minutes of fame just to get it out the mud. So maybe they are acting out and not acting how they typically would because they are trying to entertain. That's the whole point of television. But they do all of this. It gets aired. They're not getting paid for this and they don't get a spot on the show. And let's just note that this is the example of womanhood that so many young girls are looking up to. And I'm not even gonna just say young girls because there are so many grown women on this show that are approaching 40. They were on Bad Girls Club when I was like 10 and I'm 22 now. And they are up there acting a fool and they are encouraging other people to act a fool as well. Obviously, they're not responsible for other people's actions and they're not responsible to do the parenting for the children that are watching this show, but they definitely are a part of the problem as to why so many people are incredibly angry in this world and feel the need to display it because they see on television using their anger as an outlet in a negative way. After seeing so many women stand online for the auditions for Baddies just to humiliate themselves, and they're so willing to do so, I'm appalled and I'm saddened. I did not expect Baddies to get so popular. I thought we were in a different time in our lives, but people are watching and people are enjoying, and these girls are getting major social media clout from acting a fool on this series. It's just appalling to see the amount of women that are open and willing to exploit themselves on television in order to gain just a few Instagram followers. Like, it just just breaks my heart. The next show we're gonna get into is none other than Joseline's Cabaret. Joseline's Cabaret first aired on January 19th, 2020, and since then it has had 3 seasons and they all have been very popular. The concept of the show is for Joseline to develop a group of 4 girls that she wants to join her cabaret. She basically wants to start like a burlesque style team. So Joseline's Cabaret was a hot mess. I am appalled just by the fact that I watched the show. If you guys remember from the beginning of the video, I said Joseline's Cabaret was the reason why I stopped supporting Zeus Network. We're gonna get into Joseline's bad behavior in just a second, but I'm gonna talk about the development of the show and how I think it could have been a really positive show if Zeus had the right intentions. And this was even the perfect opportunity for Joseline to rebrand herself. So Joseline's Cabaret definitely represents a lot of sex workers, primarily strippers, and that is due to her trying to do like a developed, more classified strip show, which she labels as her cabaret. However, with the series, I believe they showed sex work in a negative light. Sex work is already so looked down upon, and I believe with Joseline's Cabaret, it was the perfect opportunity to shed a positive light on sex work and kind of humanize the women a bit. Instead, it seemed as if Joseline wanted to make it the Joseline show. Instead of developing, getting to know these women, humanizing these women, getting these women some help, she berated them, she dehumanized them, she spoke down on them, and it was just a very ugly and disgusting thing to see.
Yes, who performs with gum in their mouth? Ew. Ever since that she threw me under the bus, it's like the bitch that you never think could do it because y'all thought she was a drunk and a big belly hoe. Why you clapping? You know you ain't nobody friend. Stop playing. When I was talking, she started coughing. Bitch, like I'm some type of germ. Bitch, I know you ain't coughing at me, ho. But you can't be coughing at me, disrespectful ass, homeless ass hoe. Mother, I talk like this. Shut the f up. You're a liar. That's not who you are.
Overall, Joseline was just overly aggressive and treated the women like scum. And she made it clear and made sure they knew every day that she was better than them. Whenever someone spoke up for themselves or just had a conversation with Joseline, she immediately was just vile. And for an almost 40-year-old woman with a daughter, I was appalled, quite frankly. And then she has her man on the series, Ballistic is it? And this man, or should I say, I'm not gonna say it, but Ballistic was acting like a little rough. That's all I'm gonna say to that. The way he talks to women is absolutely disgusting. The way he puts his hands on women, because we've seen it before. I just want to see him talk to a man the same way he speaks to these women. I feel like Ballistic thinks he could speak down to these women because of what they do, though his fiance or girlfriend, whatever she is to him, used to do the same exact thing, and we all know that. And why I blame Zeus in this case is they saw the same show that I watched and so many other people saw too and felt the same way I felt, yet they still continued to give Joseline a season 1, a season 2, and a season 3. And season 4 is pending right now. We don't know if it's going to come back because Joseline is currently in a legal battle for her assaulting one of the girls on the show, and not even just one legal battle. She's in numerous right now, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and it's all from her just being so angry and vile and hitting people. I don't know what that's about. And just in terms of me saying that this show could have been seen more in a positive light, I know you guys are probably thinking, well, no one wants to see a overly positive show, but if y'all think about it, there is naturally going to be disagreements, there's naturally going to be fights, arguments, whichever, because it's a group of women from all different walks of life living in one house. I don't know why I said house like that. Oh my God. Living in one house. So you're gonna get all of that, but it would have been really nice to see a therapist on hand so the women could speak out their issues if there was ever an argument, and it would have been helpful if there was an emphasis on dialogue and for the women to have proper dialogue before using their fists, because you're still gonna naturally get all the arguing and all the disagreements and all of that that comes with it. And like I said, I understand that fights are going to want to be seen because this is television after all, it's entertainment after all, it's the media, I get it. But how will we resolve these fights? How are we going to work towards resolving these fights to give these women a better look? One thing I realized I didn't add in as I was editing is the fact that a lot of these women come with trauma, and within the sex work industry, people don't really discuss the implications that come with it or why some of these women became sex workers. So I think this was the perfect opportunity for some of these women to explain why they got to where they are now and to discuss how sex work can be seen as problematic and how potentially their childhood trauma got them into the sex work industry. But overall, just unpacking mental health and trauma would have been a really good take, yet still interesting for viewers to watch. And the last part I'm going to touch on with Joseline's Cabaret is I did not like how they never addressed or called out the numerous non-Black women on the series that were constantly using the N-word. They were using it so frequently to the point I was like, is anybody going to call these little girls out? Like, I'm very confused. That would have been a perfect opportunity to address that matter and also bring some type of dialogue to the non-Black women that are watching the show and understanding the repercussions that comes with using the N-word and why it's problematic to use. But once again, we did not get that with yet another Zeus Network show. And the last show I'm going to speak on is Crazy in Love, which features Blueface and Krishan Rock. So this show basically documents the tumultuous relationship between rapper Blueface and I guess rapper Krishan. I will call her more of like a social media star, but she does have a song or a few songs out. But yeah, rapper, socialite, social media star Krishan Rock. With this series, it vividly displays domestic violence. It shows a lot of substance abuse, and there is no correction of those behaviors. Once again, we can document this because it is reality TV and it is something that people want to see. But at the end of the day, how are we going to format it for there to be some type of reformation for these people and for us not to vividly see domestic violence going on and people thinking it's okay to happen? Krishan Rock was also on Baddies along with Crazy in Love, and it just shows how much Zeus openly exploits this woman. Like, this woman is literally the exploitation of media right now in the Black community, and people are enjoying it and they're watching this train wreck happen. The fact that she's pregnant right now terrifies me. I can't even say I pray it's a boy or a girl because I think either way they're going to be screwed if this girl does not seek help. And it's not just her, because the baby daddy is an issue too. There's just no helpful things happening. Like, even if we saw Krishan Rock like getting ready to prepare for motherhood so we can see how she's developing to become the best version of herself as she steps into this next very important chapter of her life, we'll see what they do with that. I know they do have Crazy in Love season 2 coming out soon, so once again they're continuing to exploit the crap out of Krishan Rock and even Blueface, but I think Blueface is completely okay with it because it's all for profit. But I don't know if Krishan Rock is all the way there. Like, I think she does like the attention. I think she does know that the media goes crazy for the crazy antics that she does, but at the same time I do believe that she genuinely did love Blueface and she does need help, and there's nothing wrong with needing help. We all need help in something, but she definitely needs to go see a therapist. But Zeus is continuing to use her personality, use her face in order for them to get views on their series. So that goes into my last and final point. What is the problem with Zeus? Because a lot of people will argue, but it's Black owned. Being Black owned does not exempt someone or a network of people from exploiting a group of people. When we use Black people as puppets to make a profit off of them, it's a problem. And not just Black people, anybody in general. You can try and say, well, we're not the ones telling them to act a certain way, but you continuing to produce the same exact content time and time again. It's not like you just have one series that is exploitive. You have multiple series and you continue to produce more and more series that are exploiting Black people. A lot of people have a problem with Zeus Network, and when Lemuel, who is the CEO and president that I stated earlier, when addressing the criticism he received about the network, he said this in quote, "We're not a ratchet network. We just tell real stories and we work with real talent. People who aren't afraid to be themselves. People who aren't afraid to address conflict or drama that may come up. We don't condone or support anything that happens. We're just showing the real." The fact that he stated that they as a network do not condone or support anything that happens on the shows is laughable. You do indeed condone it. You condone it by not putting in proper measures to protect individuals, especially women that are getting brutally beaten on camera and even off camera and behind the scenes. You do it by not holding anyone accountable for their actions either. And you do it by renewing these shows season after season and creating even new shows. Just be honest, you do it because the money is excellent. I'm sure he's getting paid very well. And admit that you will continue exploiting every single person on your network as long as it continues putting money in your pockets. And the other point I will add with Zeus Network is that they purposely pick a very specific demographic of Black people to be on their shows. And that demographic is every negative stereotypes that is pushed onto the Black community every single day. Them doing that is continuing to push these false false narratives that so many people outside of our community think of us. The yelling, the fighting, the domestic violence, the substance abuse, the nudity, the profanity, the promiscuity, all of that ties into the negative attributes of what being a Black person is. Black people are so much more than what these shows portray. And of course, you have the option of not watching it like I do. I just personally don't watch Zeus Network because of this. But at the same time, I would love to support a Black-owned network if they actually portrayed Black people in a positive light. There are so many ways to do this that are still positive and still entertaining. And can we just briefly mention the fight between Joseline and Big Lex at the Mayweather fight that just happened this past week, and how Joseline was literally acting like an animal out of a cage? I can't even say I was shocked by Joseline's behavior, but the fact that so many people were allowing this woman to get beat on, her clothes were ripped off, there was a grown man speaking disgustingly to a woman, she was being jumped and beaten. When you watch that video, the security was not doing enough. They were not separating those women. This woman never got a shirt after she was getting humiliated. She's trying to defend herself with no shirt on. It was a lot going on. Zeus needed to do better, and they need to be there to support her, because Big Lex is also a part of Zeus Network. Well, she was at one point. And honestly, she kind of put Joseline's Cabaret on the map when she made that one quote on season 2. That's when Joseline's Cabaret really started popping off.
The gutter is a rough place, you know, and you got to do everything, any and everything to make it, you know, every situation, including aborting twins, you feel me, to better yourself, because I do want to leave you. But
You just had an twins?
twins.
Yeah, double homicide.
Bitch.
No, I'm sorry.
So give that girl some credit when it's due. But you watched a woman get brutally jumped and beaten like it was nothing. Obviously, you can't blame just Zeus Network, but the security guards that were there are part of Zeus Network, so that's why I give a slight blame towards the network. But yeah, just overall, what Zeus represents is not what I think Black people should be shown and portrayed as on television. But I, of course, want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on Zeus Network and how Black people are portrayed? What are your thoughts on all the shows? Do you watch Zeus? Do you not watch Zeus? What shows do you watch? Let's get the discussion going in the comments. If you guys like this video, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support, and I will see you all in my very next video. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.
Taking you in this moment, come get close like you own name. Read your aura, you want more of all this love, you'll be your name. Release all of